Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to discuss and learn about pulmonary function tests. So, in this video, we are going to discuss and learn about the following contents. Those are different pulmonary function tests. In that, we'll continue with the spirometry, its indications, contraindications, the lung volumes and capacities. So, as we are discussed with introduction, indication and contraindication of pulmonary function test, now moving on to different pulmonary function tests. So, firstly we'll start with spirometry, then forced spirometry, which includes FVC, FEV1 and FVC FEV1 ratio, techniques for measuring residual volume and functional residual capacity, nitrogen washout technique, helium dilution technique and body plethysmography, diffusing capacity of carbon monoxide, oxygen, peak expiratory flow meter, reading to generate a flow volume loop, arterial blood gas analysis, bronchodilator test, cardiorespiratory exercise test, oximetry, respiratory muscle function test. So, let us start with the first lung function test, that is the spirometry. Here in this picture, what we can observe is a patient takes a deep breath and blows as hard as possible into the mouthpiece, and one clip on the nose you can see there is a machine that records the results of the spirometry test, and a technician who have to monitor and encourage the patient during the test. So before we start with the lung function test, the first one is the spirometry. We should be having some kind of basic knowledge about the lung volumes and capacities. So previously, what maybe in our courses we must have learned about the lung volumes and capacities. So we have 4 lung volumes and 4 capacities. So firstly we'll start with the respiratory lung volumes, and in the lung volumes we have the first one is the tidal volume, TV. As per the definition, it is defined as the amount of air that can be inhaled and exhaled during one normal breathing cycle, that is a quiet breathing. In the picture, what you can observe is we have a subject performing the spirometer test. The person or the subject or the patient have to take a normal breath, that is you have to inhale and exhale, then again inhale and exhale. That is what in the graph which is shown in the system, that is the TV. So tidal volume inspiration, that is I, and tidal volume expiration, when the graph goes below, that is the tidal volume expiration. And in that graph or in that image, what you can see is it is marked as the lung volumes in the liters from 0 to 6, and below we have the timing. So it is the how many liters you have got the inspiration and expiration, that is the tidal inspiration, tidal volume inspiration and the tidal volume expiration respective to the time given. So as it is said that about 500 ml of the men's and women's is the volume of the respiratory lung volumes, that is the tidal volume. Normal value is the 500 ml for men and women. So yes, moving on to the little kind of brief explanation for the tidal volume. It is the amount of air that can be inhaled or exhaled during one respiratory cycle, which is already been defined. This depicts the function of the respiratory centers, the respiratory muscles, and the mechanics of the lung and the chest wall. So what we should be aware of the name of the respiratory muscles and how the mechanics of the lung and the chest wall happens, and which all are the respiratory centers taking care of the lungs. Then what is the next thing is to know the normal amount. So the normal adult value is 10% of the vital capacity, approximately 300 to 500 ml, that is when considered in ml per kg, that is 6 to 8 ml per kg, but can increase up to 50% of the vital capacity on increase of the exercise. So next to tidal volume we have inspiratory reserve volume, IRV. What is that? It is the amount of air that can be forcibly inhaled beyond a tidal inhalation. So you will be thinking, what is tidal inhalation? In the previous graph also, what I was asking you to check is, once you see the graph raising, so that is the tidal volume. Okay, so once you inhale and exhale into the mouthpiece, we get an tidal volume inhalation, and that then is the tidal volume exhalation. So in this graph what we can see is, the moment the tidal volume expiration is done and you start with the tidal volume inhalation, and you start a forceful and kind of deep inspiration, so the graph raises. That is called the inspiratory reserve volume, and the normal amount for the men's and women's for the inspiratory reserve volume is 3000 ml to 2000 ml. So the next volume is the expiratory reserve volume, ERV, is the amount of air that can be forcibly exhaled beyond a tidal exhalation. So again, moving on to the picture, what you can observe is, we had the tidal volume, then we had an inspiratory reserve volume, and then again we have the tidal exhalation. Fine. So that is, the graph goes up for the IRV, then graph comes down slowly. We have a tidal exhalation, and then we have a expiratory reserve volume. So already we have discussed about the inspiratory reserve volume, its definition, and the normal adult value for men's and women's, and then we have discussed about the expiratory reserve volume, its definition, and the normal adult value. Just a little basic information for the inspiratory reserve volume. It is like, the inspiratory reserve volume is usually kept in reserve, but it is used during the deep breathing. And when it comes to the expiratory reserve volume, it is reduced with the obesity, ascites, or after some kind of upper abdominal surgeries. So after upper abdominal surgeries, obesity and ascites, it tends to get a reduced volume for the expiratory reserve volume. So lastly we have the residual volume to discuss, that is the amount of air remaining in the lungs after an expiratory reserve volume. So in the picture it is very clear, we have the three fluctuation in initial section, that is the tidal volume for us. Then we had an peak of the inspiratory reserve volume, and slowly coming down, then we have a area for the expiratory reserve volume. So once again we have an tidal volume 1 or 3 repetitions, but whatever the amount of air is remaining in the lungs after the expiratory reserve volume, which can be seen in the image, that is the residual volume. Okay, and the normal volume or the normal amount is 1200 ml in the men's and women's. Some details about the residual volume to be discussed is it is the volume of air remaining in the lungs after the maximal exhalation, which we have seen previously, and the normal adult value is averaged at 1200 ml when say for ml per kg, that is 20 to 25 ml per kg. Residual volume is indirectly measured from the summation of functional residual capacity and expiratory reserve volume, that is the FRC and the ERV, and cannot be measured by the spirometry. Then the next point is in obstructive lung disease with features of incomplete emptying of the lungs and air trapping, residual volume may be significantly high. That means when there is an obstructive lung disease, we have some features in that, that is the incomplete emptying of the lungs and the air trapping is happening in this obstructive lung disease. So because of that, what we are having is the amount of air remaining, the volume of air remaining is significantly high in such conditions when we understand the pathology of this respective obstructive lung disease. Then the other point is the residual volume can also be expressed as a percentage of total lung capacity TLC, and the values in excess of 140% significantly increases the risk of what? The risk of barotrauma, pneumothorax, infection, and reduced venous return. This all is happening why? Because of the high intrathoracic pressure that is noticed in those patients who are having the high residual volume. And what will be the management for those patients is they require immediate surgery and mechanical ventilation. They also need the high perioperative inflation pressures too. So as previously we are done with the lung volumes, now we'll be moving on to the respiratory lung capacities. Those are inspiratory capacity, functional reserve capacity, vital capacity, and total lung capacity. Exactly what does it means by the respiratory or the lung capacities? It is the combination of two or more respiratory volumes. When we add together two or more respiratory volumes, then we form those capacities. So when we talk about the inspiratory capacity, it is the combination of the tidal volume and the inspiratory reserve volume. Then next, when we talk about the functional reserve capacity, it is the combination of expiratory reserve volume and the residual volume. When it comes for the vital capacity, it is the combination of the tidal volume, inspiratory reserve volume, and your expiratory reserve volume. Then finally, when we talk about the total lung capacity, we have the combination of residual volume and the vital capacity. So yes, when we start with the lung capacities, firstly we have the inspiratory capacity IC. As per the definition, it is the maximum volume of air that can be inhaled following a resting state. That is, it is calculated from the sum of inspiratory reserve volume and tidal volume. When we want to have a formula for that, that is IC is equal to IRV plus TV. Inspiratory capacity is equal to inspiratory reserve volume plus the tidal volume. So next we have, that is the functional residual capacity, FRC. What it is? It is the amount of air remaining in the lungs at the end of a normal exhalation. It is calculated by adding together the two volumes, that is the residual volume and the expiratory reserve volume. The normal value for FRC is 1800 to 2200 ml. The formula for FRC is equal to RV plus ERV. Functional residual capacity does not rely on the effort and highlights the resting position when inner and outer elastic recoils are balanced. FRC is reduced in restrictive disorders. The ratio of FRC to TLC is an index of hyperinflation. In COPD, FRC is up to 80% of the total lung capacity. So moving on to the vital capacity, VC, it is the total amount of air exhaled after maximal inhalation. The value is about 4800 ml and it varies according to the age and the body size. Vital capacity is calculated by summing the tidal volume, inspiratory reserve volume and expiratory reserve volume, that is VC is equal to TV plus IRV plus ERV. The next point, vital capacity indicates ability to breathe deeply and cough, reflecting inspiratory and expiratory muscle strength. Vital capacity should be 3 times greater than tidal volume for effective cough. Vital capacity is sometimes reduced in obstructive disorders and always reduced in the restrictive disorders. So lastly, moving on to the total lung capacity, TLC. It is the maximum volume of air the lungs can accommodate, or sum of all volume compartments, or the volume of air in the lungs after maximum inspiration. The normal value for TLC is 6000 ml. When say it in liters, it is 4 to 6 liters. Total lung capacity is calculated by summation of 4 primary lung volumes. Those are the TV, tidal volume, IRV, inspiratory reserve volume, ERV, expiratory reserve volume, and the residual volume. Your total lung capacity may be increased in patients with obstructive defects such as emphysema, and decreased in the patients with restrictive abnormalities, including the chest wall abnormalities and kyphoscoliosis. So yes, in this image we have a clear picture of the capacities and the volumes.